Ta'ala, who has given us the opportunity and the ability to come to His house. We ask Allah to accept our effort and ibadat. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our shortcomings. We ask Allah to grant us the khair of this day and protect us from the evil. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. As we were discussing regarding one of the very important characteristics that a person needs to have in his life is haya. And this haya has been divided into different components. First being al-haya min Allah, is to have haya from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which starts with the first point of having the conscience of Allah. Alam ya'lam bi anna Allah yara. Allah Azza wa Jal says that, do you not know that Allah sees and He watches you? So this is a question that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts upon us. That Allah Azza wa Jal, He is watching you at all times. As the poet says, that وَإِذَا خَلَوْتَ بِرِيبَةٍ فِي ظُلْمَةٍ وَالنَّفْسُ دَاعِيَةٌ إِلَى الطُّغْيَانِ فَاسْتَحْيِي مِنْ نَظْرِ الْإِلَهِ وَقُلْ لَهَا إِنَّ الَّذِي خَلَقَ الظَّلَامَ يَرَانِي. That when you are alone in seclusion and there is no one that is watching you, and you want to seize the benefit of this darkness, and your nafs tells you to go and disobey Allah in darkness where there is no one watching you, then at that time you should be having haya from the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? To tell your nafs and to address your nafs and tell it that the one who has created this darkness watches me and sees me at all times. So this is the reality of having the conscience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That no matter what situation and condition you are going through, always be mindful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you. And then moving on to the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam explaining this factor in a very detailed way to the Sahaba ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'een, that istahyu min Allahi haqq al-haya, that have haya with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way it's due and right. So Sahaba asked, what is this ya Rasulullah? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam gave them few things that needs to be practiced in the life of an individual to bring this haya from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their life. Number one, an tahfadh al-ra'sa wa ma wa'a, is to protect your head and whatever it contains. And we mentioned in detail what does that mean and how a person needs to protect himself from this. Moving on to the next point, an tahfadh al-batana wa ma hawa, that protect your inside and what it includes. The muhaddithun have given two different meaning to this. Either batan can mean the stomach or your batin, your inside. As Allah Azza wa Jal mentions in the Quran, وَذَرُوا ظَاهِرَ الْإِثْمِ وَبَاطِنَهُ. Leave whatever sins are apparent and whatever sins are inside. So when we talk about to protect the inside and what it includes, this is the batin of human being which needs to be worked on more than his appearance. Right? If the batin is correct, your inside is corrected, then outside a'mal will also be corrected. But if the inside is corrupted, because whatever is in the vessel, that will come out. You cannot put, dal in the vessel and expect the biryani to come out. Whatever you put inside the vessel, this is what it comes out. Whatever we have inside, that's what it shows outside. If a person has jealousy inside, jealousy will come out. If a person has hatred inside, hatred will come out. If a person has mercy inside, mercy will come out. If a person has forgiveness inside, forgiveness will come out. So that's why Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, the component of haya is to protect your inside. That everything, all the things that happens in the world, is my inside being corrupt. If I'm working, if I'm going after the worldly affairs, what is happening to inside? How much of it is being corrected and how much is being corrupted? And we have to be mindful of that. Why? Because all the sins, they develop from inside. The first sin, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about in the Quran, Aba wastakbar wa kana min al-kafirin, about Iblis. He denied, he showed arrogance, and he became amongst the disbelievers. All of them has to do from inside. Arrogance, denial, all of these things, they develop one sin. One sin develops the sin of this. If a person has arrogance, jealousy will come, pride will come, and so on and so forth. So this is why it is very essential that we understand this component very much. A lot of times, we only focus on what people will say or what this person will say. We never focus on what Allah will say. If I am having bad thoughts or making plans to destroy someone within my heart, we need to think what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to do with me. Because Allah knows my inside. I can hide it from people, but I cannot hide it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And whatever thoughts that I have inside, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, Allah Azza wa Jal will only hold you accountable when the action is done. If a person has some thought inside his mind that I want to do some evil, he just has this thought inside his mind that, I'm going to go and destroy this person because he said something wrong to me. This bad thought comes inside his mind. Now, later on he realizes this is not a good thing to do. Allah Azza wa Jal, He is watching me. And if I intend to do something wrong to a person, tomorrow this action is going to hunt me down and something bad is going to happen to me. So a person stays away from it. He changes his intention. He changes his thoughts. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him a reward instead of a sin. Now let's say a person brought this thought into his mind, but he never changed it to be a better thought, nor he continued the action. Allah will subhanahu wa ta'ala will still give him a reward. Your only accountability is upon the actions that you commit and you do. The minute it's done, a person says, I'm going to go and tell this guy this. Now, the minute he says it, this is where the account starts. As long as this is in the mind, has not been exposed, Allah Azza wa Jal will forgive. Allah will protect. So that's why a person needs to be very mindful about his inside, his batin. The second meaning of this portion is that to protect your consumption and whatever goes into your stomach. And that is also very essential and important because halal and haram is the right of Allah. It is the right of every believer to fulfill what is halal and stay away from what is haram. To do what is halal and to stay away from haram. This is the responsibility of every believer. This is the fard that Allah Azza wa Jal has made upon every believer. So then, if I do not be mindful of this, then what kind of face I'm going to show Allah on the Day of Judgment? That Allah, you created me, but I couldn't stay away from things that you told me to stay away from. So that's why we have to be very mindful of this, that when we are talking about having haya from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these are the important components which Nabi alayhi salatu wassalam has mentioned. We have mentioned 3 so far. Conscious of Allah at all time. Number 2, protecting the head and what it contains. And number 3, protecting the inside and what it includes. We ask Allah to grant us the understanding. We ask Allah to give us the ability to practice. Amin ya Rabbal Alameen. Jazakum Allahu khairan. Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka.